Hey everyone, this is Mari from Seamster Sewing Patterns. As a part of Sewing Indie Month, a month-long sew-along and celebration, I've been working with fellow indie sewing pattern maker Thread Theory to bring you a tutorial on sewing with fold-over elastic. Fold-over elastic is a really great way to finish the edges of knit garments. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to do that with Thread Theory's Comox Trunks sewing pattern. For this tutorial, I'll be using less than a yard of 5/8 inch wide fold-over elastic for the size 34 trunks. Fold-over elastic is like the knit version of bias tape. That means it will fold over on itself to encase the raw edge of your fabric. Before we begin, take a good look at your elastic. See the central groove running down the length of your fold-over elastic? That's the fold line where you'll be folding your elastic in half. Also see how one side is shiny and one is plush? You can use either side. For these trunks, I want the plush side to be visible because it's a little more comfy. Now I'm going to show you how to attach fold-over elastic two ways, but if you've never sewn with fold-over elastic before, you'll definitely want to practice first on a scrap of fabric. To begin with, we'll attach the elastic to a flat edge, in this case the cup opening on the Comox Trunks. To figure out how much elastic you need, lay the elastic in a straight line alongside the curved part of the cup to which it will be sewn. Your cup piece should be long enough to reach from each end of the cup opening. Now for the sewing. Use a wide zigzag stitch for this step. I like a stitch that's 3 wide by 3.5 long. In this step, we'll be stitching the fold-over elastic to the wrong side of your fabric, or what will be the inside of your garment. Remember that the inside of the elastic that you do not want visible will be the side that directly touches your fabric. Line up the raw edge of the fabric with the central groove in your elastic. That means half of your elastic will be sticking past the edge of your fabric. Once you have everything lined up, begin stitching the two together. Stop after you've sewn a few stitches, making sure your needle is still piercing your fabric and elastic. Now gently pull your fold-over elastic. It is incredibly easy to stretch out your fabric as you attach your fold-over elastic. Gently pulling your elastic helps prevent that, and as long as you don't pull too tightly, it won't gather your fabric. Keep stitching your fabric and elastic together, making sure the raw edge of the elastic aligns with the center groove in your elastic and that your elastic is slightly stretched out while your fabric is feeding through your machine at a normal rate. When you get to the more curved section of the cup opening, you may wish to pull on your fold-over elastic just a little bit more tightly. Now we'll stitch the front of your elastic to the right side of the fabric. Fold the remaining half of your elastic over the raw edge of your fabric. Stitch it to your fabric using a straight stitch or a very narrow zigzag stitch. When stitching 1/8 of an inch or closer to the edge, it's called edge stitching. If you're using a contrasting colored thread like me, you may want to break out an edge stitch foot if your machine has one. That way you can more easily stitch a nice straight line. And that's all there is to it. Next, I'll show you how to sew fold-over elastic in the round to a garment's opening, like a sleeve or a neckline. In this case, we'll be binding the leg openings of the Comox Trunks. Before we begin, we'll need to determine how much elastic to cut. Lay your assembled trunks on the table. Like we did when cutting the elastic for the cup opening, we'll lay our fold-over elastic out in a straight line from each edge of the leg openings. Double that length and cut your elastic. Next, fold your elastic in half, right sides together. Using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, straight stitch the raw ends of the elastic together. Do this for each leg's elastic. Your fold-over elastic will be smaller in circumference than your leg openings, so mark your leg openings and fold over elastic at 4 evenly spaced points. Then pin the elastic to the leg openings at those marks. See how the leg openings are larger? It's important to evenly pin the elastic and fabric together so that the elastic evenly stretches to meet the fabric. Same as before, we'll stitch the fold-over elastic to the wrong side of our fabric. What we've got to watch out for here is that the raw edges of the elastic seam allowance don't peek out. Now, stitch the elastic to your fabric using the same 3 by 3.5 wide zigzag stitch as we did when sewing the cup opening. After you've sewn a few stitches, stop with your needle piercing your fabric. Then, grasp your fabric and elastic where the next pin is and pull until the elastic is the same length as your fabric. Sew the elastic and fabric together, remembering to align the raw edge of your fabric with the central groove of the elastic. Keep sewing like this until you're back to where you started. After that, switch to a straight or very narrow zigzag stitch. Fold your elastic over the raw edge of your fabric. I like to start stitching a little bit before the elastic seam allowance so that I've got a few stitches anchoring things down. Once I get to this side, the fold over elastic seam allowances will be peeking out. So I'll tuck them under. Using a seam ripper helps since the seam allowances are so small. Once your seam allowances are no longer visible, keep sewing around the garment's opening until you're back where you started. That's it! Simple, easy, fast, no annoying stretched out edges. To make your own Comox trunks, go to threadtheory.ca, where you can also find another tutorial by me on how to dye your fold over elastic. To see what other great tutorials and hoopla is going on around Sewing Indie Month, head over to seamsterpatterns.com. Thanks for watching and happy sewing!